Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Well, we're going to look at another masterpiece of incompetent engineering brought to you by your finest boobs in the world. So, here's a particular unit, and I've shown this again as a general preview, but now we're going to look at it and take it apart, etc. This is some sort of quasi orgone machine made in Germany by a guy that has no idea what he's doing. He makes a lot of junk, thinking he's got something here when he really doesn't. He has no original ideas. This is all taken from other people, particularly an Italian company that uses these kind of balls and stuff. He thinks that there's a lot of power in using heavy brass balls like this. Which there really isn't, but you're getting a little metal there, kind of interesting. He's got this tube, and we're going to look inside there and see if there's anything in it. But generally, you're picking up toxic orgone crap, so he thinks. You bring it in here, and then it comes out the other end. You put these balls on pictures, etc. I mean, it's interesting, but it's also, as I said, very copied, very unoriginal, and does virtually nothing. So, again, you're using things that are just kind of placebo effects. There's no amplification here. There's no transmitting. If you don't have that, and there's no circuitry here in terms of symbolic or any way of tuning. So when you don't have that, it means you add up to a bunch of nothing. And of course, that's what all this stuff does. And it just amazes me the kind of crap you'll find, particularly, well, all over the world. And it's a shame because Britain used to be a leader in radionic technology to a degree, I guess. But ever since Koppen has died, there's a problem. And of course, there's nothing coming out of any other place in Europe of any value. Some of the old Koppen industry people that had rights to sell some of his stuff in Germany are still going, but they're producing a bunch of electronic crap that Koppen himself never really produced. They're using his name, which I frankly doubt has much value, but that's about it. But there's just nothing out there of any kind of value. This guy, of course, is using holograms, which he got from other people. This is another hologram. This is what the bottom looks like. He's got it attached with, he likes to use brass. Brass, of course, that's a good idea. Brass is a combination of metals. I forget what's in there. There's tin, copper. So it is an interesting metal. It's a little better to use than most other metals. These are just clamps and stuff. Let's just take this right off here. And of course, this is just plastic clamp shit. Even though he's used brass here, it really doesn't connect into anything, and it's not really touching anything. So you just got crappy little clamps you'd use for anything. This looks like some sort of, is it aluminum or even, no, it looks like a plastic. I'm not sure. And again, these are brass here. They're big, heavy. Now, let's see if we can get this sides off of this thing. And see what we can get here. It's unlikely. We'll actually cut these wires off so we can handle it. As I said, there's nothing to learn here. As I said, it's just a basic little stand there. We can cut these off so we can find out what's in the tube. Easy. Oops. Now, these are big, heavy balls. These are big, heavy balls. I don't know if there were holes in it or he drilled it and he did connect the wire in there. Let's see the kind of wire this is. Again, this is, over $200, I believe. You maybe got $15 in parts here. It's not very inventive. He's come up with a few other things as well. But that's just standard copper wire, okay? So he's got the copper wire onto the brass end. Let's see, they're probably both the same. So it's just standard copper, but it is a good heavy copper wire, so it's not little strands. That's a good heavy copper wire. But just all that is just standard electrical wires, not really doing anything. Going into the ball is the same thing. It's the same wire. So there's not much there. I'm not sure. I think I tried to pull it out of here. This is glued in here. This is glued into the ball here. And, okay, what we did, we're able to pull that out, okay. It's the same copper wire, obviously. And let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can get in here a wee bit. But that's just the glue that was used in here. I doubt if there's anything of further note there. You're just connecting the wire into the ball technically the way he's done it, which means there doesn't seem to be any kind of, well, I guess it is here, but that's a pretty bad, if you're trying to make some sort of electrical connection this way, Hertzian, well, you have very little touching here. This should have been stripped so you have much more wire here, so that you would have a bigger contact. And if you're trying to get that effect, and again, you're either going to be electric or non-electric, but if you're going to use that for some sort of pseudo-electric reality, that's not a way to connect it. It just shows you less understanding. And of course, this is all, there's really nothing to, looks like this was threaded here. He must get them like this, because he didn't certainly make a thread here, because he didn't even use it. So these are threaded. I'm sure that's the way that they're made. Again, it's repurposing. There's nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. But also he has this actual insulating case. Why? That should have been taken out of there. The wire should have been stripped and put it in there if you're going to use, as I said, some pseudo-electrical understanding there, trying to get that, which is what he was trying to do there. So, not too bright. Okay, what's new? And you can see this wire itself. Again, it's the same wire going into here on both sides. I'm going to have to see how I can open this. It looks like it's glued well. There is something in here, and this is this quasi-orgone shit again. See if we can, some sort of composite stuff. And there just isn't anything to that. Now, orgone in itself was a very particular type of accumulative mixture that was used, and that turned into anything anybody wanted to use. And of course, there was a particular recipe originally for orgonite, which had all this mixture in it, but none of that does much. And if you're mixing stuff and accumulating, as the problem with orgone is, you're going to run into problems with actual accumulating toxin. So it's just the way it is. But if you don't understand all the energies and stuff, like none of these guys do that make any of this stuff, they're living in the electromagnetic spectrum. They're living in Gaga land. We made me retard. Oh, how stupid can I be today? Reading some old crap books and they have no idea what any of it means. That's the kind of stuff you get, mixed in with the kind of ridiculousness that is accompanying these people in general. So, research is one thing, but we have a lot of research now. The whole idea is people have to make functional tools that are worth a damn. So, yeah, I'm trying to get this off here. I may have to come back to this once I actually figure out how to do this. yeah, I'm going to have to pause here. I'm going to open this up, and then we'll take a look at it once I get it open. Okay, people. Now, I was taking this apart. Apparently, this is filled with some powdery crap. Again, this must be his interpretation of what orgonite is, otherwise known as the scum that comes out of a Satanist's butthole. But apparently that's what's in here, some sort of powder that he considers a orgonite base to draw energy to. So, again, the concept of it is bad because you're pulling in a lot of toxins. And there's some sort of plug in here. And it looks like there may be a plastic sleeve inside of there that he's filled up with his human feces. And let's see here. Let's move this out of the way. You see here, as I pull this out, it's got this powder here. Now, whether this powder is anything or not, we just don't know. It looks like it's some sort of mineral powder. It doesn't look like there's anything combined in there. And that's what's inside of this. You know, if this was cocaine, it would have some value. Of course, that would be a lot of cocaine. But the whole idea is that this is stuffed with that energy, which, again, the coil is going through here. So the wire is going through here. It's condensing the energy into a coated wire, a plastic insulated wire. Don't make no sense. Again, that's sloppy work, sloppy engineering. You're not thinking properly. This right here is just a little rubber plug that fits in there, so I'm sure that's repurposed from something else. But there's nothing special about it. It's just a plastic again. I guess this is a metal tube. I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, I guess it is a metal tube. I'm assuming that's some sort of aluminum. I'm not sure what kind of metal that is. But the wire just goes through this concoction here, which, as I said, is, and it goes all the way down here. I'm not going to bother to you. You can see on the other end here the gunk that's in there around the wire. So that's the actual science he's using, based on Carl Hans, the Satanist, scumbucket, lying sack of shit Welts, whose machine made him live to be a whole 70s. And his wife died at 71. And of course, you know, these people are working as hardcore criminals and Satanists, and that's where this technology comes from. But it doesn't really make that much sense to do that. I mean, you're not going to accumulate enough energy in a tube like this to do much. You need to have proper amplification, and that's only done through the radiant energy of using tube amplification with a lot of other things. So the whole idea is the energy is sucked in from one of these balls, goes into here, then is empowered through the dust of shit here, and goes out the other end, which you then lay on a photograph to energize it. So that would be the science behind all of this crap technology that you're seeing right now. So very simplistic. You've probably got $20 in parts here that sells for over $200. Again, I mean, you pay for engineering. It's not necessarily, the years of research and others. And he produces all sorts of stuff like this. And it's all very, very low level. We can't really trust anything from this guy. He doesn't seem too bright in any way whatsoever. And basically, he steals everything, as all German technology. There's never had an original thought in their lives. So they copy from other people and then try and say, well, it's German made, it's better because I copy better. And that's, of course, the way they work. He is using the new popular holographic technology, which is starting to catch on, that there's something to holograms. And why any hologram would work, I don't know, but apparently holograms and even printed holograms like this that are impregnated with radionic frequencies, so they claim, can get you results. There is some interesting research being done by one person I haven't had a chance to look into that uses holograms. I don't know. You certainly, holograms are interesting and cheap. Why not use them? And of course, he's got a hologram on this side only. I believe that's the exit side. So he's energizing it a little more with a hologram sticker to go in here. And of course, the main thing is this combination of stuff here. And as I said, I'm assuming this is just some sort of mineral. There doesn't seem to be any kind of variance to this. There's nothing in this white stuff. There's nothing inside of here that tells me that he's using multi-stuff, unless he's mixed this all together. This looks like some sort of mineral. That's what it looks like to me. It's hard to say. It doesn't look like he's mixed stuff with it and so forth. But it's possible there could be there. It's really hard to tell, and certainly not worth investigating any further. But so that's the core of this guy's idea. The idea is that instead of using orgonite inside a machine that has dials or other things on it, he's made an orgonite tube, of course, copying one of his Nazi friends, Karl Hans Welz, the criminal and Satanist, avowed Satanist, by the way. So the whole idea is that that's it. So you draw it in, you put the energy into there through an insulated wire. Again, that doesn't make any sense. And then it goes out into the ball, which is then placed on a photograph to send the energy. I mean, it's an interesting concept to a certain degree, but it certainly isn't new. It's not unusual, and it's just using the same sort of things that anybody with an orgonite machine was doing. Generally, people empower their dial machines, but it's probably too complicated for him to make dials. This guy couldn't figure it out. It'd be too much work. So that's what most people do, is they have something like this. This tube would be in an orgonite machine, and that would be what would be energizing the whole machine to give it further energy. And of course, that's in a completely non-electric process, as orgone accumulation is in general. It's a non-electric process. So it's the accumulation of energies taking out of the atmosphere, unfortunately, which is very, very polluted now. So, I mean, that's basically how accumulation of orgone does. The problem is it picks everything else up with it. Now, unless you're filtering it, unless you're using tachyon neutrino cells like I offer, you're going to be getting a very toxic product. So, accumulating from an atmosphere that is loaded with radiation, pollution, both electromagnetic and everything else, and the negativity of society, comes down to the fact that you have a very dirty product, which is the problem with orgone. Now, orgone and Wilhelm Reich, of course, was something that it was very interesting, and it should be researched, particularly his cloud-busting technology, so he could kind of control rain and stuff much better. So the whole idea is that would be a much better way to go. But, putting in stuff like this in a tube is nothing new. I did this 30 years ago, not with powders, but I used to use tubes I filled up with stones and magnets and other things. And this creates a really good energy, especially if you're holding onto it and you have two of them creating a body circuit. The whole idea is that this kind of stuff, and this certainly doesn't look diverse in any way whatsoever. Let's look through this a little more. This seems to be very much the same thing, so I'm not sure what he put here, but, I'm not seeing stones or crystals or ground up anything. This is the kind of stuff that intrinsically is a problem, because it's just this junk. So what he did with it, maybe charged it with something else. Maybe this is just common mineral he's charged with energy and then put through here, and of course has filled the entire tube with that. and I've given you the way to use. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the technology from this particular person. This is just, this is just a cheap plastic holder for something. You get this at the hardware store for whatever. Again, there's nothing wrong with repurposing. He's using the Flower of Life here, again, using sacred geometry, as I do with my stickers, etc. I'm sure he got that from me as well. And you're just getting these little clips here that hold this in place here, like that. And then, of course, you've got the balls on the wires that connect into here for an interesting little device. Again, if you're not amplifying your thought forms more through tube amplification and broadcasting them, you've got a very low-level energetic product here. And there certainly isn't much here. As I said, I'm not sure what he's done with this white powder, but none of these powders do that much, whether it's orgone or anything else. It's all very limited energies. And the problem is we're going to need a lot more powerful energies than these little powdered stuff give you if we're going to make some major changes in your bioenergetic life, whether that's for improving your basic, more physical realities, meaning money, love, influence, etc., success, or whether you're working on your bioenergetic system for high levels of well-being. This is not going to do it. So again, it's interesting tech. It's way overpriced. This is probably worth like $150 to make. He charges double that, and it's just not worth it for any of it. But I doubt this does anything. It's certainly nothing of any. Again, he copies everybody. Holograms is an American design, and the person who's doing that uses holograms and so forth. And of course, people have copied all that. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, there's nothing original with any of that. Just as the fact of using sacred geometry, which I've been doing for years. This is just a plastic piece of crap. It does have brass screws there, but it's not touching anything. You don't need to put brass there. I'm assuming that doesn't cost that much more anyway. But this is just, this is just soft plastic. These are just clips you use everywhere. This is just a standard. Is how you can see this tube even has a what is that? This is a particular type of low-cost tube. I'm not sure what type of metal this is. It could be aluminum, which again would be terrible to use. I don't know if it's stainless steel. It's very hard to say. But most likely it's probably aluminum. And that would cause toxicity if it is. Let's just hit this, and I forgot to do that ahead of time here. Let's hit this with the old pendulum tech. Oh yes, let's bring out the pendulum. So let's see if this puts out in general. Let's see if does this tube have positive or negative energies in it? Well, it's typical because it's orgone. So since it's an orgone-based item, we're getting, let's try that again. Is that positive or negative energy coming? We're getting negative energy again. Counterclockwise. Let's concentrate a little bit here. Yeah, counterclockwise energy. So here we go again, the first test you do. Let's see if this powder, is the powder, how does this powder, is this positive or negative energy in the powder? Yeah, it goes right to negative energy and fairly strong. So this sitting around accumulating, quote, orgone, otherwise known as human feces, attracts negative polluted energy. So this puts out negative energy. The concept here is you understand the drawing in through different diverse metals with brass, which I believe has 2 or 3 metals to make brass, copper. What else is in there? Zinc or something. I don't know. But the 3 to make brass. You can look that up on Sewerpedia. Sucks the energy in. This sucks it in, powers it with toxic, horrible energies, and then it goes out and you can take that into your life. Ain't that sweet? So the whole idea is that that's the technology behind that. And here we go again. This is the kind of problems, and people buy this, and even the people that make this think they're doing something. I'm assuming they do. But this guy certainly is kind of a bozo that really knows nothing and copies everything. And everything that this person produces is extremely low level and doesn't have much value. Now we know that's even putting out toxic energies. So it's as simple as that. So you can see when you have something that is a positive nature. If I can get my camera adjusted here. You have something of positive nature, like my amplifier. Does this put out positive or negative energies? You can see how this is moving directly to and strong positive energies. There's no question here. What about, let's go down here again. And as I said, I'm fully objective here. I'm not looking to criticize anybody or in any way. I really don't have competition, certainly not this junk. But I'm not looking to put other people's products down. I'm testing here. What kind of energy does this put out? Positive or negative? Here we go again, counterclockwise. So, I mean, it's pretty clear. And as I said, I'm just trying to find truth here. But we have to know what works, what doesn't. What kind of energy is it putting out? We can't live in a delusional reality thinking that something's working, period. Now, you can do that as somebody who's selling crap like this to ignore the fact that you're building garbage. But the bottom line is that you as the customer need to know what's going on and what are these people putting out? What is it? So these are all the things that you have to know, and buyer beware. A sucker is born every minute, as P.T. Barnum stated. So the whole idea is that's right. And this kind of technology tends to bring out the suckers, and how anybody that buys this stuff is happy with it, I have no idea. But the bottom line is this is not even putting out balanced or even neutral energy. It's putting out negative energy. Really sad. So I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time.